Hey, Stacy, here we are.
Here we are, episode 71. How are you?
If I was any better, I would have to step in front of a crosstown bus.
Oh,
because
my.
I can't take the level of joy I'm at. Because do you know what the significance of 71 is?
Is the year someone you know was born.
Yes. So Sue was born in 71.
Nice.
But here's the other reason.
Oh.
I wasn't going to count that one, but okay, sure. Don't tell Sue I forgot what year she was born, okay? Anyways, it's 1 year before Sly started working at the movie theater, the Baronet movie theater,
Nice.
where he was eventually fired from scamming tickets, and he actually tried to scam tickets from the owner of the theater. Yeah, so so I think that was kind of interesting, and there's a whole story that I talk about of Sly being an usher and how he would go to the projectionist booth and record the movies because he wanted to go to film school, but he didn't have the money for it. Right. And it was like it's a whole thing. So anyways, listen, I have something I want to jump right on to. My love for Rocky IV has continued. So yeah, really, I'm in a Rocky IV mood. I really am, and that's rare for me. Right. That's really rare. So on Instagram, and I apologize, there's a gentleman on Instagram, and I think his Instagram name is something Yankees or so, I don't know what it is, but I think he's from New York, and I'm going to go through and thank him for this. But a few days ago, he said, "Mike, do you have one of these?" And I said, "No, I don't." I said, "I would love one." So he sent me one, and I got it last night in the mail. I'm going to show you real quick what it is. And then, Stace, I want you, because people aren't going to be able to see it. There you go. It's a yellow ticket in a clear plastic saver. Go ahead, put that up and show people.
There you go.
Okay, here, what this is a 1985 ticket to be an extra in the crowd scene with Rocky and Ivan Drago at the Agrodome out in Canada. Okay.
Oh, cool.
This is a ticket. Admit one. It's great. It'd be there 8 o'clock in the morning. And they filmed the Drago fight scenes from April 30th through May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And it's an admit one, and it was great. It was called the Pacific National Exhibition, the Agrodome. And at 8 a.m. you had to be there. I think it was out in Vancouver, and that's where they filmed the fight. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is, and I really hoped Sly was going to show more of this in the director's cut. Maybe they didn't even get footage of it.
Right.
Well, and maybe he even forgot about this. But what they had done, I talked to several people who had been there the day of filming. And when there's the outside hallway where all the Coca-Cola, the popcorn, the hot dog stands are, all that. So what Sly had done, he had Russian guys dressed up as Russian guards all the way around in their military, that brown and red with the hammer and sickle, right? And all of the Pepsi products or Coke products, all of the advertisements were all in Russian. Everything. There were pictures of Lenin and Marx and all of this stuff, right?
Oh my, right.
He really wanted to go that extra mile. And again, I don't know if Sly forgot about that or he never got footage of it. But imagine if he had the camera outside in the hallway as people are coming through, and we saw the classic Coca-Cola sign only in Russian. Right. And then we down the hallway, we saw the McDonald's Golden Arches only in Russian was McDonald's, right?
Right.
And then we saw all the trophy cases with all the communist paraphernalia, with all the guards. Like, that's intense.
Yeah.
That's an eye for detail, and that's what was there. Right. That's what was there. And so we didn't see that in the director's cut. But again, like I said, I kind of default to thinking maybe Sly never even had that. Maybe he never even caught that on camera. Maybe that, because I know they usually film these fights very quickly. And when Sly is in director's mode, he's bam, bam, bam. Good, got it. He's not one of these guys that are going to take 30 takes on a scene. Right. He hates that. He hates that. If you don't have it in 1, 2, or 3 takes, that's it. Somebody blows their lines or a piece of equipment fails or falls or something. Okay, sure. But he moves fast. And that's one of
Right.
the reasons why I think Rocky Balboa eventually got, a greenlit, because
Mhm.
he does move so fast, and he has that with the producers. They know he can make Rocky Balboa happen, even though they didn't believe in him at the time,
Mhm.
but they did, in the back of their minds, said, if anybody can make this happen, it's Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
And of course, Sly always makes it happen.
Right. He certainly does. Yeah, there must be pictures out there. I mean, it's not like people had cell phones. So it's yeah.
That's it. There were no cell phones in
Yeah.
1985. Nothing.
Mm.
There were the big ones that Michael Douglas used in what was the movie he was in? Wall Street.
Okay.
Remember he's on the beach and he's
Mhm.
got the big robe on and he's talking and the phone is like this big.
Size of a
right?
brick. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's got the big antenna and he's holding it up and he's walking along the beach with that. So, but there was no capability, and knowing Hollywood, and Sly probably even said no cameras. They probably
Yeah.
confiscated cameras or searched you to a degree or whatever.
Mm.
So it was a very different time.
Yeah.
I know today there's a lot of pictures out there from Balboa when they
Yeah.
were in the arena filming that. There's a bunch of stuff out there. People did sneak it, even though they did suggest don't use your cameras or whatever.
Right.
They know that shit's not gonna. Oops, you gotta block that. Sorry, I said the S word. Sorry, don't leave that in. Put a right over me. I'm sorry. That's my natural rhythm. Anyways, I'm done talking. You go ahead. I'm not talking the rest of this show.
Oh, really? Wow.
That's it.
No, that would be a bad thing.
Oh.
No. No, I wanted to, it's Apollo month, and we lost Apollo. And then of course, what comes up this morning from our dear friend Lisa Bradshaw, I want to send people over to episode 16. And she just took such a tragic situation and made something beautiful out of it. And so she lost her husband 19 years ago today. And I just want to say to Lisa, you are amazing. And what you've created since that loss is helping so many people. And I know, Mike, you and Lisa are quite close. She went on your tour. I know you wanted to say something to her today as well.
I did. Lisa is one of these individuals who had great tragedy. And instead of rolling up in a ball and staying in a corner for 20 years, she went through her grief, and she still has that grief. It's always going to be there. But she chose to do something remarkable with it, and she chose to try to help other people through the passing of her husband. And so I love that. And I would really, like you said, ask everybody, go back and look at that episode. If I tried to quote the facts, I'll get them somewhat off or skewed, and she deserves to be re-listened to. She did something when people are going through either end of life or very traumatic circumstances. She put together a basically a system that's available, and I'm so proud of her. And she is I had the honor of going to dinner with her. She took me to dinner. Her and her cameraman, she took us to dinner at the Victor Cafe after the tour. And she's just one of these humans who there's somewhat of a glow, a light around them. And she has that perseverance that I think we all aspire to, and that Rocky has inspired us to try to hold on to. And that's Lisa Bradshaw.
Well, her app, this is what it's called, Take Good Care. So if you go to the App Store and download this is a resource center for anybody who is giving end of life care, and you can connect with people far and wide. And I was just like, what an amazing idea. And this is what Take Good Care app looks like on Instagram if you want to follow her there as well. And she's just amazing. And I just can't imagine going through something like that. And so untimely, he died of very, very unusual circumstances, very unfair and very young. And we've had guests on who have suffered untimely losses, like, Sean O'Donnell with his mom, and Corey Baker with his mom. And then another mom is our friend Jess. But I do want to say to Jess as a transition, happy birthday, my friend. This is
Happy
Jessica.
birthday.
She is on episode 49, and I would just have everyone go listen to her as well, because she just is all things that Rocky spirit. We just love Jess to death. Here's another cute picture of her. She's adorable.
That's amazing. You know, I have that same shirt. I think our mutual friend sent us one.
Yes.
Yeah, it's my night shirt. I had her send it to me like 7 sizes too big so I can wear it around the house. And actually, that's my night shirt. Yeah.
Oh, really?
And what that is, I have to get a better. You know what? Right. I'm going to send you that, and you can insert it right here.
Okay.
And what it is it's a Rocky recipe.
Yes.
So it's like 7 parts training, 37 parts inspiration, 14 parts raw eggs. It's this great t-shirt, and I believe it was Meg who was on our show who
Melissa.
Melissa.
Yes.
But yeah, so she sent me the shirt, and I love it. I think it's great. It's one of my favorite ones, and it's so comfy. I feel like I'm just wrapped in love.
Anyway, happy birthday to her, and just
happy birthday, Jess.
Yeah, keep punching to Lisa. You're just making something beautiful out of such tragedy, and we love that. And then there's one more birthday.
There is another birthday this week. And I believe it's on Thursday.
It's on Thursday. So when this airs, whose birthday is that, Michael?
I have got to give a big old fat shout out to my friend John Rivoli, who is absolutely my favorite artist of all time. Michelangelo, forget about him. Picasso was a punk. I'm telling you, Rivoli is where it's at. Go to Icons in Art, check out his stuff. Go check him out on Instagram. This guy is what it's all about when it comes to art. And it's not just art. I mean, this man tells a story in the paintings. He really does. I love when he does the never before seen images. Like, I love that. That's the thing, because anybody could paint a picture from a movie, but when you have to think about a scene we never saw, but it happened.
Yeah, that's smart.
Here's one right here. Okay, they're looking up at the Rocky 3 one.
Yes.
So there he is. We're looking down. It's the one from the movie promotion poster from Rocky 3. So we see the giant belt, and we're looking up at Rocky as he's looking into the distance with the hands by himself. And you can imagine Rocky was doing a photo shoot at one point.
Yeah.
And this was the result of it. So anyways, happy birthday, my friend.
Happy birthday, John.
Stacey, we have a guest this week, I think, right? Now, here's a gentleman that I met a few years ago. I think just before the world changed.
Right.
I met him. He's a great guy. He was in Philadelphia, I believe, for a wedding, and he decided to take the Rocky tour. And I could tell you he's a huge Rocky fan. His name is Chris J, and he's just a great guy. And the thing I like about him is he has a very cool pop culture connection with Rocky through a company called Contenders. Is he with us yet?
He is. Here he is.
All right.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
What's up, guys? How you doing? Good to see you.
Chris, I love that hat. I love that hat, the boxing tour hat, and I cannot wait to talk about that in just a little bit. I'm so
I can't wait. I'm ready.
I'm so proud of that moment, but we'll definitely get to that. So listen, how did you become involved with the Contenders brand? I love this story.
Yeah. So this is how it started. My band was on tour, and we happened to be playing in Las Vegas. And during the day before the show, we had some time. There was a place called the Las Vegas Fight Shop, and I'm involved in boxing, so I loved visiting the Las Vegas Fight Shop. I'm there buying a couple things. I walk up to the counter, and I'm talking, it was one of those moments where like the sun shined down from heaven, and right next to me on the counter is a pair of underwear, but it's Clubber Lang's trunks.
Wow.
The powder blue Clubber Lang's from Fight One.
Sure.
Look at that. You guys look at that. How quality is that? I'm telling you, I mean, I am obviously a Rocky nut. I'm a Mr. T fan, love Clubber Lang. Arguably my favorite trunks in all the series of those powder blues. Yeah, and I just had to have them, so I bought them. So I'm a bit of an obsessive type guy, and that's why we get along, Mike.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
I'm like, who made these? I need to know, like, what am I looking at here? Are there more of these? So I actually emailed the company. The owner, to his credit, man by the name of John Snyder, took the time to email me back and sort of explain, like, hey, we have a whole line of Rocky stuff. And he looked me up, and I think he did a little research and realized that I'm involved in some entertainment stuff in the boxing world. So literally, he said, hey, would you help get some stuff out to maybe some of your friends to spread the word? And listen, this is how I was looking at it at the time. I'm like, yo, man, I'm just going to nab some free Rocky undies and be out. I don't know.
I get it. Yeah.
But one thing led to another, and I got the underwear to a couple fighters, and all of a sudden they started to pop up wearing them at weigh-ins, guys that were Rocky fans and some of our other brands. And that led to John offering me kind of like a little bit of a job. And literally over the course of 5 years, it's turned into that I'm the, athletic marketing director for the company. And I literally, one of my daily jobs is to help spread the word on Rocky. So, I mean, I can't complain.
How is that bad? Spreading the word on Rocky is part of your job. Like, that's great to me.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I love to be associated with that franchise, even in the smallest way.
Yeah.
For such a hardcore fan like me is so exciting.
Right?
I love it.
Are they hiring? Because I could use a part-time job. You think I'm kidding?
I mean, hey, we're always looking to spread the good word of Rocky,
Right?
See that?
And what's great, for a little background on the company, which is CONTENDERSCLOTHING.com. And I know you know a lot of this, Mike, but for the listeners, the whole company started with Rocky. There was the idea to make all the trunks as boxer briefs. Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's amazing. So that's
so this is mine. So I took them out the other day and I said, okay, I want people to know I did not buy these like ahead of time or, I've had these for years.
Mhm.
I wear the Contender brand, the boxer shorts. They are so comfortable and so durable. I'm telling you, some of those are 4 or 5 years old.
Nice.
And I wear them every day.
Yeah, I still have my clubbers from 5 years ago,
Isn't that something?
Yeah, and the success of the boxer briefs led to us expanding into Rocky t-shirts, Rocky hats, Rocky hoodies. Yeah, and that's the one that obviously we got to talk about.
Oh, Mike, this is really great, Stacy. I'm so glad you put this up. Yeah. So I've got 2 versions of the shirt. One's the long sleeve version with the stars on the sleeves, and then the one next to it is the back of same thing as the front, but it's a short sleeve version. And I got an email from you, probably about a year ago. And you guys came up with this brilliant idea for the dates.
Yeah.
For all of Rocky's fights, including Thunder Lips. And some of them are fairly easy to put together.
Yeah.
But you have to put it together with the fact. How did you come to this date?
Yeah, we're talking about the fictional date, Stacy, as if Rocky existed in reality. On what day did this occur? Exactly. Some of them are obvious. They're on the screen, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some of them are wormholes of nerddom that only guys like Mike and I can kind of float around.
Yeah.
With. I immediately went on the ones that I had questions to my expert, my guru, Mike. And we had a couple email exchanges, and it was fascinating because we didn't necessarily line up on one or two.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. That's what Mike said. That's what's great about the Rocky universe. But I'm pretty confident we got it on the back of this shirt. I believe, and this is really cool. You guys may get a kick out of this. MGM, when they got the shirt and approved it, they were stunned at how much work went into it, right? And they actually said, this is true, Mike, and you were a part of this. You don't know this. Yeah. They are going to use the timeline on the back of the shirt as the official timeline. This is MGM.
That's awesome.
If anyone needs the dates, whether it be for T-shirts or for press releases, they are going to go with the list that, quite frankly, Mike, you and I put together.
Did the name Mike Kunda come up at any point and say, "Hey, there's this guy, and he was part of this"?
I mean, we show love whenever we can. It's actually written for all you Rocky fans out there listening to the files. If you go to the website and you check out the Boxing Tour collection. Under the actual where you can order the shirts and the hats, is a breakdown of how we got to the dates. Because listen, we've already been under attack. Rocky 4 is the one that people that's the one where people start battling over the timeline. But I have hardcore facts as to why Rocky 4 occurred.
We did everything we could do, every conceivable rock, every conceivable line down the dark web. Chris and I traveled, and we were I mean, I had a Nigerian prince with me along this journey, helping me for backup. Okay, I mean this.
And honestly, the crown jewel of all the dates, because some of them are easy, but the crown jewel to me was all credit to Mike. And this is on our website. His name's there. We plug him. Is Balboa Lang 2. Mike got the date from a deleted scene in Creed when Rocky's looking at Adrian's scrapbook and sees a ticket. I mean, that is next level stuff right there. You know,
it was crazy. So then I say to myself, who did that? Somebody out there had to create this movie prop, this ticket. And so that's the person, like, what do? Did they talk to Sly about that? Did they talk to, look at that shirt. I love that shirt. I swear to God, I love that shirt.
And if we're talking it really, if you're a Rocky guy, it's almost like you have to own it because it's like a tour shirt. You literally have every date. And let me throw some interesting tidbits out, Mike, that you and I kind of went back and forth that I know your fans would appreciate. Because now we're talking about the movies, you know? The real big debate, looking at the shirt, is honestly when Rocky 4 happens, right? That's the big one because there's a lot of talk in the movie about Apollo being retired for 5 years. So that would mean that, you know, the timeline, the way you and I came up with it is Apollo didn't necessarily retire immediately after the rematch. That's never said. And time-wise, if you look at Rocky's license plate in the film, and to think that his tags aren't expired, because one would imagine Rocky was doing well and his tags were appropriate. You got to go off the tags, and you also have to go off of Paulie's birthday, which occurred in that. And then you also have to go off of, here's the big one, how long Rocky and Adrian have been married. If you take those three things, that will put that fight on December 25th, 1985. Some people try and say it's, you know, it's 5 years after 76, but it doesn't make sense at all. Even the way the world was with the conflict between Russia at the time. War, that wasn't as thick in 1981 as it was 85. Now, here's the other one that they debate, and Mike isn't completely with me on this. Mike and I stretch on this. Here we go.
I love this.
The Tommy Gunn street fight. Okay. Now, Rocky 5, which we must talk about, but Rocky 5 absolutely starts immediately after Russia. We all know that. There's no way around that. Rocky 5 starts, and it's the end of 85, top of 86. The debate becomes how much time goes from the beginning of Rocky 5 to the end of Rocky 5. Mike leans towards potentially a couple years going. I went with, and I feel strongly about this, I don't like to go against the great Kunda when it comes to Rocky talk.
You know what? You may be right, though. Go ahead. You may be right.
Here's my thinking, right? Gunn immediately meets him in the winter. He just got the gym. The stuff with the lawyer happened immediately after Russia, right? And back then, now this is getting weird. This is going to move into my boxing background, right? Atlantic City in the late 80s was a hotbed of professional boxing. It was hotter than Las Vegas. There was literally fights every single week in Philly or AC. Tommy Gunn could have met him in January or February, and he conceivably could have had 14 professional fights leading up to the following year, wins the title on Valentine's Day, 87, fights Rocky later that night. Wins it in Atlantic City because there's no way to get to Philly. People say, no, he won it in Vegas. No. He fought in AC, got in the car, drove the same night, and fought Rocky. So I put Rocky 5 in 86, 87.
So It's very difficult to argue that. It really is. There's gut feelings, and I will even I'll even go one further into Chris's corner on this. Depending on my emotional and mental state watching a Rocky V movie, I may agree with that. I really will. And I'm not even sure he fought in Atlantic City. He might have fought in Philly.
Oh, no,
for the
no,
championship.
No. Oh, no,
Do
no,
we
no.
know for a fact?
Here's the catch. He fought at Caesars. They show that in the lead up when Rocky turns on the TV. They show Caesar's Palace, and there was a Caesars in Atlantic City at the time.
Oh, yeah. And Caesars is still there, remodeled, but still there. But you know what always and I do recall that, but the thing that kind of throws a wrench in my mind is when we see the skyline of Philadelphia, and there's the one building where the ticker goes around, and it gives the illusion of it cuts from there to like the fight. And I wondered, could it have been Philadelphia? And the only person, I'll go one more way out, way out in the weeds.
Okay.
We have a friend of mine, a friend of the show's here, Tony DeGennaro. He did some great research on where Rocky lived.
Okay.
And I believe he did like a 7-page term paper on it. And this is not necessarily what we're talking about, but I'm kind of just showing you the weeds part of it.
But we know where he lived, right? Is there any debate to that?
Well, I didn't know where he lived. Where in Philly? Did he live near Villanova? Did he live in Abington?
Are we talking about where he lived in Rocky
as a champion? Yeah, exactly. Where did Rocky live in Rocky 3, 4, and 5? When Rocky gets in the limo and he has to come do the dedication to the statue,
yes.
Where was he driving in from? Obviously a Philadelphia suburb.
Yeah, so we don't know that.
No, we do now. So it's out near Main Line. Main Line is a suburb of Philadelphia. So when Tony gave me all of his information, I sent that to Sly, which he was blown away by. And then he goes, when I was thinking about it, when I was writing the script, it was Main Line. So you guys could Google Main Line Philadelphia.
So when he got money, he moved to Main Line.
Yes,
and that's where the mansion was in 3 and 4.
Yeah,
and where he left at the beginning of 5 and returned to the house in 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in Rocky 5,
Balboa, not Balboa. That's right. Not the house. He didn't return to the house in 2. Paulie's house, the house in 1.
He had to go to Paulie's house. Gotcha.
With the mysterious staircase that appears that was never there
in the first one.
In the first one, right? There was, and I know in that because they didn't film. They filmed that out in California. But in Philly, the house in Philly is a 2-floor brownstone, row home.
And one of the things that blows my mind when I watch the Rockies, and you and I talked about this when we did the tour, Mike, is it almost like it's hard for me to think that some of those scenes, like Mick's gym. I'm sorry, you've taken me there. I have been there. Yeah. And even though I know what's behind that building, I don't care. It's a second floor boxing gym.
Agreed.
That's what's so crazy about Hollywood, that just the idea that he steps into that perfect, nothing more perfect than the outside of that for what they were going for. And it was filmed in LA. I mean, that stuff's crazy,
all the interiors, because they had such little money. So there was no money to build a stage for Mickey's gym. So what do? They rented a local gym, Main Street Gym in downtown LA for, I don't know, a few days. I don't know, 50, 60, 70 bucks, $100 bucks.
Is that gym still there, Mike?
No, that gym burnt down actually about 6 months after Rocky 3. So when we see Rocky and Apollo, Stacy and I, of course, have the painting right after Rocky and Apollo go to hit each other. So about 6 months later, it burns down. It became a parking lot. Wow. So for Rocky 5, the gym where Tommy Gunny's training him, Rocky takes it over, soundstage. And they did a damn fine job of recreating that stage.
Yeah. I mean, see, I love the nuances of the Rocky universe. Like this, I think you can see how happy I am. This is the stuff I like to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just the best. It's the best.
It really. Stacey,
Wow.
what do you think about all of this in the weeds geek stuff?
No, this is I love hearing this and I love learning it. But what I'm learning listening to two gentlemen, it's just the details, I think. And I know I'm just I'm just a girl, but for me it's more the emotional journey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the quotes and what was happening with Polly at this time and what was happening. I'm so focused on the movement of the characters more than the backdrop. You know what I'm saying? So
and as you should be the first time you watch it, but when you're on viewing 1500, you have to go elsewhere.
You just gravitate. You start looking at the different things.
So Mike, when Stacy, when I went out and did Mike's tour, my dad and I went. I knew about it. I was looking forward to it. I mean, listen, I know people have said this on this podcast. If you are in Philadelphia, and you have any interest or enjoyment of Rocky, it is a must. It is a must. I had
1000%
time of my life, and what was great is you can see Mike. He's putting on the vibe, and he picks you up. And he sniffs you out right away if you're casual or if you're hardcore, right?
Right.
So he started to sniff with me because he didn't quite know who I was yet. I stopped him right in his tracks, and I was just like, Mike, I'm pretty advanced. I'm not saying I'm you, but this isn't going to be a tour where you have to tell me what happens in the movie. In fact, I want to see this. I'm like bringing out like notebooks, like, you know what I mean? Like he got to physically restrain me from going to see the house in Rocky 2. He's like, we'll die there. I was like, it's a good place to die, Mike. Let's go.
No, you're right. And that's, up at Paulie's house. See, I haven't gone to Paulie's house in about 10 years because the last time
you had an incident there, right?
I did. So Paulie's house has changed drastically from what it was. Other people will go there and they've been okay. Marco Naylor went there, Stacy. He went and took a little video that I think he recently put up or whatever. But what happened to me when I went, it was still the old house. Okay. And so now I'm doing a tour and I have the window down a little bit. And on the other side of the van, I hear, and it was a bunch of the local inhabitants that come up to the window and they said, what you all doing here? And I go, Rocky tour. See, it's on the side of the van. Rocky tour.
Yeah.
And they didn't like my sarcasm. So they said that, we don't like being looked at like zoo animals. You best be on your way. And never went back. But now Paulie's house looks completely different. It looks nothing like it did in the movie.
Mike, is that one of the few places that you don't go on the tour that's kind of iconic? Because I mean, you took us everywhere. We saw all the good stuff.
That's the one, that and the Philadelphia Zoo. The only reason I don't go to the zoo.
What are you going to do? Yeah.
That's a huge price to add on per person to get in. Then you're talking another 45 minutes.
You know what I'm saying? Tour structured so well that there's no need to do that. Somebody could go there, obviously, on their own.
And that's what I suggest. That's what I mean,
Stacy, like literally, like you couldn't shut us up because Mike's a talker, but I can hang too. So we were
Chris
talking
did well.
over each other. I mean, it was a blast.
But you see, that's the energy, Chris. That's what I'm saying. That's that crunch punch you want to give that fan. You don't want, like, could you imagine if I'm like, over there is where Stallone walked with his dog, I don't know, Blocky or Butkus or whatever it was. And,
right.
You can't do that.
Right.
And Chris has that same type of passion for this character that I do.
Stacy, I kid you not. If I lived I was born and raised in South Jersey, right? But if I still lived out there, there is literally no doubt in my mind that I would be his backup for the tour. I swear. I swear.
I believe that
if Mike
100%.
got sick, if he had a wedding, literally, I would be the guy that would be the fill-in. You know, I ain't got the look like he does, but I can talk the talk. It's just fantastic. I mean, it's a wonderful tour. It was a blast, and I just can't recommend it enough. And I'm not here to hype your tour, obviously, but it's just fantastic. And the Rocky universe is great. And people like you and me and contenders, we continue to keep it alive. And what we try and do to bring it back to contenders is we try and put a twist on the merchandise. There are Rocky t-shirts everywhere that say Rocky. Yeah. There are you get the poster. We try and do something unique. So in other words, we have like the robe collection, where we did all the robes and hoodies. And I'm happy to say that that was such a success that we're relaunching that next week. So probably around the time this is airing, we'll have the clubber robe back, you know, for spring, because it's like a light robe, the boxing tour shirt. There will be a new Rocky drop in November around the anniversary of the film. I can't let the cat out of the bag. But Rocky fans will be excited. And we're always trying to just kind of keep it creative. But the one I will let you in on, like, so here you go. Here's the big secret.
We won't tell anybody, just between the three of us.
The boss won't be happy about this, but we are doing Rocky's robe in boxer brief form with the yellow sash.
Come on.
And the shamrock meats on the butt.
No way.
Yeah, we're doing it. And to our knowledge, no one's ever done a shamrock meats anything. We've never seen it, you know?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So we try to appeal to people that like the movie. You want a t-shirt that says Rocky, go to the Philadelphia airport and get it. You want to show what, you know, your knowledge and your fandom were for you. But the interesting thing, Mike, to bring it to boxing really quick and how I really got involved was professional fighters started weighing in our boxer briefs. And it started with Rocky. There was a fighter, good friend of mine by the name of Francisco Chia Santana. He was a hard luck fighter like Rocky. He was a welterweight guy, never could win the big one, started to fade out a little, and got in a tournament, international tournament that took place in Kentucky. And I was friends with him. I was working his corner with his trainer, because that's my other gig. Along with Contenders, you know, I train and manage fighters, you know. So I said, dude, you got to wear the Rocky twos. I said, you got to wear the Rocky twos at weigh-in. And that's his favorite movie. Like, we quote it together. So he's like, absolutely, I got to do it. He was fighting a Cuban Olympian, right?
Jesus.
He was supposed to be there to get wiped. He was just there. You know, the guy there's 16 brackets and he's the horse that's supposed to lose.
Yeah.
He put on those Rocky twos. And so help me God, he went out and he upset that Olympian and he won that tournament and he was vaulted into the top 10. And I get goosebumps thinking about it. It was a real life Rocky moment where a guy that never had a break in this sport achieved something nobody thought he could. Now, I don't give the underwear full credit, but I'm going to say 10% they had something to do with it. And since then, it's been a good luck charm. There was a fighter that won a world title. Here's another one for a guy by the name of Andrew Cancio, okay? He worked at Jackhammer. He was retired.
Wow.
Came out of retirement. Guy from California. Worked for the electrical company. Wanted to have 2 or 3 more fights. Won them, right? And got a random shot at the world title. This is the featherweight division about 4 years ago. And he's in the gym. I'm like, you got to wear the Rocky twos. I said, you got to wear the Rocky twos. So he's like, man, and he literally said, he's like, if you think this will help me win, I'll wear anything. You know what I mean? He put them on. It was just like the Rocky movie. And you can look this up online. Andrew Cancio, when he won the world title, got knocked down in the first round. And the whole place, and it was in his hometown. Are you ready for this? Just like Rocky Apollo. The champion at the time wanted to basically fight because he knew this guy brought a lot of people to this small town. It was an easy tune-up, you know, just like
Rocky. Yeah.
Knocks Andrew down in the first round, and everybody's like, there's levels to this. You know, this is high athletics. He shouldn't be there. Andrew fights back, digs down, and catches him with a liver shot in the 4th round, drops the world champion. The place is going. I mean, it's the Philadelphia Spectrum, but we're in California, right?
Yeah.
Champ gets up, clutching his side, just like Apollo. Just like Apollo.
Like him.
Andrew runs across the ring, hits him in the side again. The guy goes down again. The place is going berserk, right? He's knocked down one more time. This guy, who has no business even being there, is about to be a world champion. He runs across the ring. I mean, he is just digging from the depths of his soul, drops the champ, and literally becomes the WBA featherweight world champion.
Jesus.
Biggest upset of the year. If you go back, you can find this.
Sure.
You can find the highlights online. And he was wearing Rocky II boxer briefs under his trunk. So there's a magic. There is a magic that goes into real life occasionally.
Yeah.
With Rocky, you know, and that's what's so beautiful about the movie, you know.
Stacey, if I could just have a moment to say something here.
Absolutely.
I can't get Stacey to shut up. She just
Oh yeah.
she's oh God.
We can't get a word in. You know?
We cannot get a word in. She just will not stop talking.
Right?
It's weird to think that Stallone wrote this movie in 1975, right, Mike? 74, 75?
Yeah.
And literally 40, 50 years later, somebody wore a piece of merchandise connected to this movie in the 70s and went on and literally accomplished what occurred in the films. And that you don't find that with virtually, I mean, find me an example where that matches up.
Exactly.
You know?
Do you think someone, Chris, is going to walk into the American embassy in, say, Switzerland, like Jason Bourne, and crawl McGraw his way through security and get out and go on the road? No, it's never going to happen.
No.
But with Rocky, you see, Rocky is accessible. And that's the thing Stallone knew. You know, he was going to do the original concept for Rocky was centered around several different things. One being a cab driver who cleans up the city of drugs and whatever and runs for mayor, but it didn't resonate. Then an out of work actor, that didn't resonate. But fighting, well, now fighting, that resonates because we all know what it's like to be in a physical fight. We know what it's like to fight with our loved ones, fight through traffic, fight at work to get a promotion or to get looked at. Hey, I'm over here. I matter. I am. You know, so we understand that. And that translated across the universe for the Rocky series. And for me, going back to wearing the Rocky 2 shorts and feeling that inspiration and carrying him through the fight, I agree so much with that because when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, my father, he used to work he was a master tailor, and he would do these fashion shows with my brother where they would change backstage into tuxedos, and they would have the brides, you know, they're going to get married in 6 months or whatever. They would all show up at these bridal shows, and my father would walk on stage to like hip pop songs, Men in Black, and they would be jazzy and cool. And my dad said, Mickey, would you like to be on this? And I go, yeah, I mean, okay. It was a couple of bucks, you know, they give me a little check or whatever. And so I would get changed. And I was a fool. I would like try to take my tuxedo jacket off on stage and throw it over and I tripped and I fell. And I wasn't natural. I'm not a natural person. But when I put the fedora on, when I put the leather jacket on and the leather gloves, I become this, I don't know, this ambassador to Rocky Land that I feel like I could do anything. Mike Kunda can't do nothing. Mike Kunda's a bum. But as Rocky, Mike Kunda's got something. He's got something to offer. So I get what that fighter felt. I get that. And I get what I get what fans feel when they get the fedora or they get your clothes from the Contender line, you know, they feel a connection with this character. There's an energy that flows.
And that's, if there's anything I could say about Contenders and Rocky, it's like, you see me, you hear me talk, right? This isn't a cash grab. This isn't somebody that had a clever idea to commercialize Rocky. It's my favorite movie ever. I mean, it inspires me on a daily basis. Like, we truly, truly care. And we're making this for people that love Rocky, you know, and that means something to me. You know, I mean, when people have passion for something like that, just like talking to you guys about Rocky or going on your tour, it's just like, it's like when you find your people. And I feel for a lot of people, Contenders is like, I found my clothing brand. And we have other stuff. We have the Godfather line. We have Muhammad Ali. We have Cobra Kai. It's not just Rocky. We do movie properties, but we try and find movie properties that people have a visceral connection to. It's not just like, oh, it's the this or that. You know, as weird as it sounds, we do blood sport.
Really? JCVD? Really?
There are people that look at that blood sport movie. Now, they tend to be more from the MMA community, right?
Yeah.
But Bloodsport is like, they're Rocky. I mean, that's the movie that when they think of, because it's more the martial arts, you know, and that movie that's their baby, you know, stuff like that. So we try and find those brands that really appeal. But it started with Rocky. And anytime we do a Rocky drop, we know it's going to do well because we have a hardcore fan base of Rocky people, you know?
You know, I got to tell my buddy about you guys. My buddy Todd Cinefonte has been JCVD's stand-in and stunt double probably since he did. What was the movie where Van Damme was in Pittsburgh? The hockey arena. Remember that movie?
I know the scene you're talking about, but
Sudden Death or something. I forget the name.
A lot of those Van Damme names start to sound the same.
They do. Them and Seagal, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are interchangeable in terms of the names: Magnum Force, Hard to Kill, Out for Justice. It's just
exactly. So let me ask you this: when Contenders is looking to really say yes, JCVD, The Godfather, Rocky, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, and so on, when you guys latch onto something, what goes into that decision-making process that says, that's something we want to,
that's a great question. And again, that leans more towards the CEO of the company, John Snyder, who I know you've had email conversations with, Mike. Wonderful guy. He has a knack for just knowing that that's going to work outside of us. We look for the brands and he looks for the brands that have passionate, not what's hot, what's passionate. And you know what we saw is we did The Godfather.
Yeah.
And check this out. Luca Brasi, he sleeps with the fishes, the famous line. That's never been put on a shirt in the way that we did it. The owner came up with a fish market, Luca Brasi's fish market, where he sleeps with the fishes and it looks like a fishing t-shirt. It looks like a t-shirt that a fisherman wear. Mike, it is now our best seller next to the Rocky Beats Apollo 79.
Right.
Literally, people have connected with that shirt because Godfather fans are very much like Rocky fans.
Yeah.
They don't have as much as we do. We got tons of movies. We got spinoffs. They got 3 movies and one they don't want to acknowledge.
Yeah.
But they are absolutely Rocky-esque passionate about those films. So we finally gave them some Godfather merch that just didn't say Godfather.
Right.
And they're reacting to it,
Well, I saw Frank Grillo, the actor Frank Grillo, wearing.
Yes.
And Frank Grillo's an interesting guy. I don't know if you guys know, watching right now, if you guys don't know who Frank Grillo is, Google
him if you saw him. He's one of those guys that I know that guy.
I know this guy from here. He was in Billions. I think he was in not last season, but the season before. He was in Billions. He's been in a bunch of movies.
He was in the Purge films. He's very
he
well
was
known for that. And then he played Crossbones in the Captain America.
Right. He was one of the guys, and I remember in the black gear in Tony Stark's office.
And he's buddies with Stallone.
I've seen a ton of pictures where he's at Sly's house watching the fights.
What I hate is man, listen, I'm not jealous so much. I would like that experience.
I would like that experience.
I want to sit on Sly's couch and watch the fights. You know what I mean?
But if we ever got that opportunity, Chris, do you ever wonder to yourself, how would you conduct yourself? I know I would find a way to be okay, but really, when you see Guy Fieri, Al Pacino, are you kidding me? Michael Corleone is sitting next to me. Arnold and Drago are sitting in back of us at the bar.
Well, listen, I've already planned this out, right? So,
right. Yeah.
So I'd have to stay away from the Rocky nerddom, right?
Gotta do it. Gotta stay away.
I would go right to my other passion, which is professional boxing, because Stallone is a huge boxing fan.
He sure is.
One of my best friends is a trainer by the name of Joe Janik, but everybody knows him as Hoss. You've seen him on TV. He's got the mohawk. He's the guy that trained Andrew Cancio when he won the world title.
Gotcha.
At any rate, he was working with the fighter on the set of Expendables 3, right? So he got to go to freaking Bulgaria. Now, this is one of my best friends.
Right.
He's getting to go to Bulgaria to be on the set of a film with some of the biggest stars of all time, including 1 or 2 of my personal heroes. And he said Stallone was wonderful. Said he was super great, friendly, down to earth. But he said the connection was the boxing. Stallone was like, I'm with the real boxing trainer, talking about fights he's been to, all the different, you know what I mean? It wasn't like Stallone wanted to talk about Rocky.
Yeah,
he wanted to talk about professional boxing, and even Hoss asked him, he was like, hey, I forget what it was, but it was something to the effect of, do you get to listen to a lot of music or read a lot of stuff? And Stallone was like, man, I'm so busy that I don't really get to do any of that stuff, you know, because at the time he was directing that movie, starring it, writing it.
Yes, he was.
It's just interesting to think like some of the things that, as busy as that man is, you know, he probably doesn't get to hear the new so-and-so record or see the series that we're all watching, you know. Now I have 2 little kids, so I feel the same way now, but you know, it was just very curious to me that it was like, basically what Hoss was telling me was like, you really couldn't bond over a TV show or a record or a band. It was like you had a bond over, like, that was the one thing that he lit up for.
Yeah. He gives himself room to open. And so boxing, he will schedule a UFC fight or a boxing match
at his house.
Exactly right. And this is a thing. So he gets into that. That's his go-to, where he will allow himself to not work and not be busy. I've always wondered, like you bring up a really funny, good and fun point. Like, what does Sly do on a Sunday morning? If he, let's say, if he's anything like me, no matter how much he wants to sleep in, you just can't sleep past 6 a.m. Like 6 a.m. is late for me, right? I'm usually up at about 5:15.
And let's be frank, Stallone is an older guy, so he probably wakes up pretty early.
And he probably wakes up early, because that's the thing. The older we get, the earlier we wake up, okay? And then maybe we take a nap later in the day. But I wonder, like, what does he do on a Sunday morning? Does Sly read the Sunday paper? Does he have the news on in the background? Or is he watching Three Stooges reruns as he's reading the paper? Is he listening to Taylor Swift? Shake It Off. Like, does he peruse top 10, top 20, like little things like that? Like when he's writing, I know he listens to a lot of classical music when he's writing. Okay. I know that.
Which is really interesting, because you know, I do a bit of writing, a lot of writing myself, and I can't listen to any music when I write. I don't know how you are, Mike, but I'm too distracted by music. When I hear music, I drift off, you know, so I always find it strange when people write while another art is occurring. Does that make sense at all?
It really does. And everybody's a little bit different. For me, I love music when I write, especially if I'm writing a very heavy emotional scene. Like I just wrote a scene just the other day about a guy in a restaurant listening to Nessun Dorma being sung in a crowded restaurant, and everyone's crying, and it brings a flood of memories. So I'll put Pavarotti on, Nessun Dorma playing.
There's a connection there. Well, there's a connection there because you're right about that scene. Yeah.
So if there's a connection with the music, I will listen to it. If I don't have a connection with the music, it's quiet in here, or it's Christmas music, because Christmas music calms me tremendously.
Yeah, you're Christmas music.
I'm a Christmas lunatic. All right, listen, before we get too far along, I wanted to ask you something that I find fascinating from people. What is it about Rocky that hooked you? Why do you love this character so much?
You know, it was ingrained. Born and raised in South Jersey, Cape May, New Jersey, where I was born. My parents both were Pennsylvanians. You know, my mom outside of Philly, my dad a little further in the coal region, Mount Carmel. Interesting place.
I know.
Yeah, so my existence basically was living in South Jersey, and you know, family vacations, Christmas, Easter, going up to see the family in Pennsylvania. So to do the long story very quick, this is true. I thought Rocky was real for years. This is true.
Me
Where
too.
I grew up. Now, keep in mind, a little kid, imagine being 5, 6 years old. The first Rocky does not look like a TV show. It looks like a documentary. So imagine not really quite understanding how TV works and entertainment works. I have memories of being at my grandmother's house, and it was always on TV in that area. This is we're going back to the early days of cable, Mike, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course.
Rocky was shown almost like a religious thing in the Philadelphia area around Thanksgiving, because again, the film so I remember being up at my grandmother's, and it seemed like every Thanksgiving Rocky was on regular TV. I remember little scenes from it, so I thought he was real. To reinforce this, and people like laugh at me when I tell them that, and they don't understand this. You ready? Rocky's statue for years was at the Philadelphia Spectrum. Outside of the Spectrum, alongside Dr. J, Julius Irving, Ron Jaworski, that was the sports complex.
Yeah.
So when I went to my first sporting events as a kid and concerts, my first sporting event ever was at the Philadelphia Spectrum. My first wrestling match, WWE, was at the Spectrum. My first rock concert, well, second rock concert, which was Cyndi Lauper on the True Colors tour, was at the Philadelphia Spectrum. I'm dating myself a little, you know.
Nice.
But I would always ask my dad, we got to go see the Rocky statue, because to a little 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid, well, of course he's real. Dr. J's real. This guy, like, there's a statue of him. I distinctly remember being young and almost being thrown off a little when I found out it wasn't real. But around the same time, then I was just knee deep in falling in love with all the movies. Yeah. I was a little kid in the 80s, so A-Team's one of my favorite shows ever. Right. Huge Mr. T guy. All the things I love, professional wrestling. It, like, Rocky 3 is like, people say, we could argue about this. People say Rocky 4 is the epitome of the 80s. No. Rocky 3. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. It was the biggest television star. It was the big Hulkamania was insanity.
Running wild.
Rocky 3 is the 1980s from a pop culture standpoint, you know.
We have I can't argue with that. I know it is arguable because Rocky 4, Rambo 2 is Stallone's peak. He is at the peak of his stardom.
Very international and political with those, whereas Rocky 3 is American pop culture. You know,
it's the last Rocky before Rocky becomes international.
Yeah,
Rocky is still Philly in Rocky 3.
Hey, why don't we look at the boxing tour T-shirt?
Exactly right.
Here we go.
That's all we need.
Look at this: Spider Rico, Philly. Apollo Creed, Philly. Apollo Creed, Philly. Thunder Lips exhibition. It was at the Philadelphia Spectrum.
Right.
James Clubber Lang, Fight 1. Philadelphia Spectrum. James Clubber Lang rematch, New York City. And then all of a sudden, we're fighting in Moscow. Right? So all his fights were in his backyard.
Exactly.
With the exception of New York City, which is close enough.
Right.
But then, like you said, all of a sudden he's in another country.
That's it. Rocky no longer belongs to Philadelphia. He belongs to the world. And that's what happened to Sly. Sly no longer belonged to Philly as Rocky. He became this international thing. You know, when he filmed that first Rocky and he runs through the Italian market, when that guy tosses the orange, I mean, he wasn't Sly. He was a guy in a gray sweatsuit with holes in it and a white van with a guy, Garrett Brown, holding the camera out the back of it. That's all that was. There was nothing there. Mm-hmm. And, of course, 10 months later, he becomes an icon as Rocky. Now he's something, but he was nothing. And so that's the thing with Philly. And that's how people in Philly are. There are such good friends of mine that no matter how popular or famous they or their friends around them become, they're still Philly, still the neighborhood. Yeah, it's a guy over there. So what? Yeah, he's worth like $37 million. But you know what? I remember when he used to pick his nose. You know what I mean? It's that type of thing. Like you remember where you're from.
Yeah, and Rocky from that point as a little kid, just being obsessed with it as a little kid. Yeah, it was one of those things you already knew it was one of your favorite movies. But as you get older, you realize how good the first one is. You realize how special it is and what a beautiful film it is. And I mean, people make fun of Rocky all the time. They know how hardcore I am. And I saw people, I said, have you ever seen the first movie? Because it's a love story. It's a love story disguised as a sports film. And it's one of the best love stories ever told. And it's one of the best dramas ever made. I mean, it's literally, it's my favorite movie ever, but it's one of the best movies ever made. So I mean, but I'm talking to the converted here. It's ridiculous for me to say that.
No, but you know what? You bring up a really great point, because last year we saw Sly had a dust up with the producers. We all know.
Shocked at how hardcore he went. I mean, man, that first statement that he put out, like, it was like, whoa. I mean,
visceral.
He was like, I didn't know that he still had that side to him of like.
Stacy said it, visceral, visceral. There are some things in life you never get over. And not that I want to kind of revamp that, but when I saw all of that, I remember I texted him and I said, just for the record, no one is ever going to say, hey, do you remember Irwin Winkler's
Hmm.
Rocky?
Yeah.
John G. Avildsen's
Right.
Rocky.
Yeah.
No one will ever say those words in the same sentence. People will say 1,000 years from now. You remember Sylvester Stallone's
Right.
Rocky?
Yeah.
That's
Of
it.
course, of course.
Now I know that does not help Sly
But-
monetarily
But
or
ultimately,
artistically.
this is a financial thing, right? I mean, he wants
So-
that financial legacy to go to his family, correct?
I think that was part of it.
I don't want to get too in the weeds on this, you know.
No, and I agree with you. I don't either. But I can tell you my takeaway. My takeaway was, yes, he wanted to give that to his children, number one. But number two, and maybe even marginally bigger, was artistically, it was he wants the rights to be able to do what he wants with the character. That's why he blew up with the Drago spinoff. That's what it's not that he doesn't want a Drago, so he wants to be involved. He created these characters.
Yeah,
so
hey,
let's
listen,
give
you
know
know, this is not a situation where it's somebody that doesn't like sequels. You know what I
right?
mean?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's like-
No. Sly's all about that. He gets it. But why would the studio go to a hack screenwriter before they went to Sly? Sly, the Creed 1, Creed 2 did very well. We're thinking a Drago spinoff. What do you think? Would you like to work with us? But the problem is Irwin Winkler and Sly. They can't work together. That's the problem.
So I got to ask you guys, right? I've been curious about this. When Creed 3 came out, by the way, Mike, I loved your Instagram post. I follow your stuff. I'm a fan, but you did a great, it's a tough day for a lot of us out there. You know? I was so good, dude, because I was feeling it, bro. I was like,
broke my heart.
You said that, I was like, what'd you think?
Yeah. So I still haven't seen it. However, I know. I talked to a lot of people. I know all the high points. I knew a lot of it before the movie came out.
Of course.
I was well aware of a lot of things. I even had a lovely conversation with Sly via text about Creed 3. I almost said Rocky 3. And so here's the thing. It probably is a decent movie. But when you put it into the category, and I know it's a Creed movie, I know it's not a Rocky movie. I understand that. It's going to be its own animal. I understand, and I'm okay with that. Even so, in that universe, in the Rocky universe, this movie does not hold up. It does not have the emotional context. It does not resonate with us. Now, I have not seen it yet. I will see it when it's for free and I do not have to pay for it. I will not give Irwin Winkler a dime. I won't. But I will see it on streaming at some point. I promise. I've talked to, I could think of 20 people off the top of my head. Everyone's reaction has been the same. It's a decent movie, but it's not even remotely memorable like the Rockies.
Yeah. I kind of agree with everything you said. Here's my biggest thing. And I got in a big, not argument, but I went on a tangent. I was actually, we had an amateur boxing event this past weekend and we were walking over there and somebody said, yo, you see it yet? And I just exploded. We're just like, well, these poor kids are getting ready for their first fight. And I'm like, your fights aren't important. We're talking about Creed 3,
Right.
And
right.
So here's my thing. What was beautiful about Creed was it connected two universes. And I mean that, what's the right way to put this? The old Rocky films and the new culture. When I say culture of, a different world, the world has changed. It brought it together. And it was a really unique, I thought, beautiful relationship. A young black man, an old white man. In a sense, in a weird way, they were both empty. They found each other and they filled these two beautiful voids, which was such a great film. And just from a spiritual standpoint, it was wonderful. Rocky, Creed 2, I love the concept. Oh, I love it.
I love the Dragos. I got to tell you, I love the Dragos.
You've discussed this on this podcast. You put the deleted scenes in that film, and it is a much better movie. The middle of that film gets really wonky.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, any rate, this one, you cannot let's just pretend it's reality. Let's pretend Creed 3 is reality.
Right.
Adonis never had a fallout with Rocky, right?
Right.
They were friends. He called him his uncle.
Yep.
Okay. They're practically family that he didn't have. I don't care if 7 years has gone by. I need some goddamn reference to him in that film.
I know.
Even if you start out at a graveyard, even if you walk through his house and there's pictures of him and Rocky everywhere, even if he calls Rocky the night before the fight, this guy was too pivotal to your existence. He literally made you the heavyweight champion of the world, made you this household celebrity, biggest fighter in the world. And we're just going to pretend that there's nothing, not even a text message, not even him yelling to his wife going, hey, honey, Uncle Rock said good luck. Give me something. You cannot deny that and have me. It's just a complete, it's the two Creed films were part of the Rocky Canyon. This one is the beginning of the Creed Canyon. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
You know?
I would agree with you. There, you absolutely said everything correctly. There's nothing. I can't pick a fight with you. You're right. You're right. I wish I could say what I know and what was going through certain people's heads. It's just not my. It's not my. It's not my fight to say. I wish I could.
Love. You know, I want more information about how everything transpired because
I can tell you this.
They didn't ask him. Somebody had to say,
"Oh,
hey,
no! They asked.
You know?
Oh, they begged. They begged Sly to be in this. No, here's the thing. I hope. I don't know what's included. I know two things. Netflix has a very in-depth documentary of Sylvester Stallone that's already been filmed. I don't know when it's coming out. Number two, Sly is writing his autobiography with another writer because he wants it to be very honest, and I hope he opens up on these things. I have a feeling he will. And number three, there's a writer from the Washington Post that is writing a biography on Stallone. He just contacted me yesterday to talk to me about things, and I told him, I don't think I'm your guy to talk to. So look for that coming out. I don't know what's going to be in these things, but
so what do you think is going to happen with the franchise, Mike? I mean, do you think Creed 3, because it was a huge, they put the books into that film. We did a Creed
200 million.
Yeah.
Bezos put 200 million into advertising.
So we were involved. We did a Creed 3 line. I mean,
you
did.
I
can talk about this. We did a Creed 3 line.
I saw it. Yeah.
You know, because we wanted to be involved, obviously.
Of course.
And what we found interesting was this: a lot of companies did Creed 3 merchandise. Okay. We're looking at us like we're the Rocky guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. And everywhere we turned, these different companies were doing Creed 3 merchandise. And it became very clear that movie was going to get a mega push. I mean, that was like the first kind of big blockbuster of the year. But if we're being frank, it worked for about 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then when people started seeing it and talking about it, it didn't do like a Top Gun Maverick did, where people were like, oh my God, this is actually an amazing movie, and it stayed relevant. So I'm curious to see where the future goes in terms of, is it going to go anime completely done, or are they going to be like, dude, it still made a ton of money, here comes Creed 4?
No, I believe. See, here's the thing. Sly has gone. I kind of know on the record and off the record stuff. On the record, Sly has said, I'll do Creed 4. He goes, I didn't like the Creed 3 story. That's on the record.
Yeah, he said it got a little dark, right? That he was quoted.
Exactly. I'm going to say my point of view. I feel Sly's issues with Michael B. Jordan are minute compared to Irwin Winkler.
Sure.
Irwin Winkler are never going to see eye to eye. There were going to be 3 other Rocky movies. We're talking the Star Wars type of level here. There were going to be 3 of the Rocky movies that Irwin Winkler put the kibosh to.
He threw the Rocky 7 script idea online, right? Yes, and it just in handwritten. I mean, you know what's so great? Who else would do that? I love that he did that. That's just so incredible.
In the day and age we're living right now, stars can interact with their fans so deeply, and Sly does that. Like so Sly tells this one story, Rocky 3. Day 1 of filming, it's the first Clubber Lang fight where Rocky loses. Stallone is chiseled. What is he, 168, 169, I think he is. and he just looks like a Greek god. He's perfection. Erwin Winkler comes running down and screams, "Stop. No filming. Don't film." And he takes Sly off to the side and he goes, "You look too good. You can't look this good. You got to get heavier. You got to put weight on. We don't want to see the cuts and the chisels." And Sly is, "Erwin, what are you doing to me?" He goes, "I've got nine cameras going on. I've got all these people." He goes, "I'm ready to go." He goes, "What are you talking about? I can't do this." He goes, "No, you don't understand. Rocky is golden boy level now. He can't be touched because of his ego. He's going to lose. There's all these things going on. And the physicality, the 2% body fat is part of that. It's not Sylvester Stallone being egotistical. It's Rocky's ego who is gone now after the. Anyways, he tells these great stories and he reaches out to fans. Here's what's going to happen with the Creed universe. They're going to do an anime series that's coming up. They're going to do Amara, who is Adonis's daughter. She's going to lead for boxing. I'm a big, huge woman empowerment. The best lessons I've learned in my life have been from female teachers, women, my mother, my wife, my in-laws, everyone. I've learned my best lessons from women. Is there room today for a boxing movie about a young girl? I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't.
Well, female or not, what's tough about that is like, what's the story? That little girl's growing up like rich. That little girl's growing up with everything. And they just told the story of a rich kid.
Right.
We're starting to really get away from
stretching
it. Like, yeah. What do you know, creepo? I mean, that was a man that had nothing. But now we're starting to look for these like, well, I got something, but I got this other problem. And even that's a problem to me. Like Creed, after Creed 2, they had both attained what they needed to attain. And they kind of created this new problem of this guy from my past. Okay.
You're totally right. But I can tell you the silver lining to this cloud is the studio writes to Sly. Sly, Creed 3 did well on its opening weekend. We are ready to move forward with Rocky 7. Now, I know
that's what I need. That's what I need.
That's what we all need.
Right.
Shoot it into my veins, baby. Yeah. That's what I need. But Rocky 7, of course, like you had mentioned earlier, he put that script out there, and we're going to see. Rocky's going to be in his late 70s, but he sees how the neighborhood is deteriorated, drugs, homeless, and whatever, and he goes back to the early 60s when he first meets Mickey, when he first goes to the gym, meets Paulie for the first time. The relationship between him and Gazzo set against this 1960s. So that there is something there that could work, and it's going to go back and forth. And I prefer a Cobra Kai version on streaming. And since Amazon owns MGM now, I assume a streaming 8-part series MGM would put up on Amazon Prime. Maybe they wouldn't call it Rocky 7. I don't know what they would call it, but I think Sly is leaning towards a streaming series versus a movie because now 8 episodes at 45 minutes each. Come on, man. That's 2.5 times a movie.
Take it back. The Rocky origin story.
Exactly. Yeah. Take my money and give me Amazon Prime, baby. Yeah. Stacy, before we let Mr. J get out of here and go on with his
I don't think Stacy was prepared for what was coming. I mean,
I told Stacy we'll be.
Did you give her a heads up? Like, yo, if this is the guy I remember, like he talks. Yeah.
I said we're probably going to be punching each other to the solar plexus throughout the whole. Boom, you son of a. But anyway, Stacy, what are your thoughts on everything we have talked about so far?
Well, I think what I love just sitting here watching you two.
She's shell shocked.
It's so fun because we say it in our own homes. We can't gush like this with our family members and our friends.
No.
And you said it, you found your people. And I've said that all along. You two are the perfect example of how much gushing we can do. And it's just been so fun watching the excitement and the energy, because
That's awesome.
you embody
all the things that like I have to do today went out my brain for the past hour talking to you guys, because I was in my wheelhouse. And
that's
the magic. That's it. I mean, if that sums it all up, that's the magic, you know? And but then you're inspired in your real life, even though you went off to this place. And a lot of fantasy stuff and a lot of fiction, I don't think does that. It lets you escape real life. But then when you come back, this sucks. The opposite with Rocky is you escape, but you can also bring that positive energy and that believing in yourself to the real world. And not a lot of things can do that, you know? Guys, really quick to wrap it up. We talked to the honcho over at Contenders, talked to John. For all your listeners, we want to do something special for you guys having us on. From the minute this episode drops for a full week, right? We want to do a special code for your listeners, right? So 30% off any Rocky stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Not the 15, not the 20, not the 25. 30% off anything Rocky, including the new robe collection. Listen, all your people have to do, anybody listening, when you check out, it's contendersclothing.com. When you go to checkout, put Rocky Files. That's it. There'll be a discount code. Put Rocky Files, 30%. You want to buy a ton of stuff. It's not one item. Go nuts. Rocky Files, 30% off, including the new robe collection. And of course, the boxing.
Boom! I love that. My God.
Well, hey, it has been an honor talking to you guys. I'm a faithful viewer, listener, and it's just so nice to talk about this stuff with kindred spirits, you know?
Stacy, before I ask my last question, any last words you want to pass on?
No, my only last thought was that you capture the energy that Rocky gives us. You know, at the end of the movie, you feel like you can fly. I've said it 100 times. You are that.
And you know what's funny is like I didn't even talk about any of my own personal stuff, which is great. We're here to talk about Rocky, not me. But one of my lifelong dreams from when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a professional fighter. I was either, I wanted it. Where I grew up, there was no gyms, there was no opportunity to do that, and it was all because of Rocky. I love Rocky. You know, it's what started. Found music, and that became my life and my direction, and no regrets. You know. But as the music business slowed down, I found myself, I was going through my Fat Elvis stage. I wasn't on the road much anymore. Wasn't, clearly my life was not going to be able to make a living doing music. I was depressed, I guess, and I found boxing again, just the way life aligned, I found the sport of boxing, became friends with the trainer. One thing led to another. And as a kid, I always wanted to have an amateur fight. So I went and had an amateur fight, even though I was in my 30s, which is not really when you do it, Then I kind of wanted to have a couple more amateur fights. So suddenly my whole life started to be revolving around boxing. I got deeper and deeper in the sport. And when I was in my 40s, I found out I was having my second child. I was going to be an old dad. And I said, you know what? And this is real, not to get sappy, but I said, I need my Rocky moment before it's too late. I need my going the distance. I need to do that thing that nobody thinks I could do. So 2 years ago, at the age of 42, I had my first and only professional fight. I was a professional athlete for one day. 10 years of training led up to one day. My wife said, you get one. You get one. No matter what happens, you get one.
Wow.
And basically, I weighed in the Rocky twos, and
wow.
I'm a professional fighter. And I said to myself, I swear to you guys, you're going to think I'm joking, but I sat in my hotel room that night. The fight was on the East Coast. And I told the guy that I was with, I just want to go the distance. I know
I believe it.
Crazy, but I didn't need to win. I just needed to know. I needed to tell that little kid that watched those Rocky movies that you could have done it. It wasn't too late. I was living Rocky 1, and I was also living Rocky Balboa because I was too old to do it. I was literally it was it was something that I'll never forget. But I won my first professional fight.
How about that?
By first round knockout.
No, come on.
I immediately retired. So I am an undefeated professional fighter.
You gotta love it.
And my wife probably won't get through the whole podcast because she's not the Rocky guy that I am.
Yeah.
I'm willing to sell out for a sequel. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
exactly. If the money's right, I'll come out of retirement.
Yes.
You know?
So, of course. Come on. You got to do it.
Here's a couple pictures.
Oh, there it is. There's me winning the fight. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah. So there's my moment, but there's me training, covered in blood, you know. But
is that the Italian Stallion tank top?
You know it.
Of course it is. I knew it was.
Yeah, but I did, because I know that's what you guys talk to a lot of people about. At the end of the day, Contenders is wonderful, and I encourage everybody to come, use the code contendersclothing.com, Rocky Files. But at the end of the day, this podcast is about what it did to your life. And that movie inspired me to do something that was one of the best things I've ever done with my life, you know, and it just happened to be boxing, but it could have been anything. It could have been cycling. It could have been wrestling, but I got to become a professional athlete when people are looking at me saying like, are you crazy? Like, you're too old to do this. I'm like, no, I'm not. I saw Rocky Balboa. I'm fine. I'll be great. You know what I mean? So.
That's so true. And again, that's one of the reasons why we wanted you to come on to the podcast to talk about that, because I think so many other people in your shoes need to hear that. It isn't over once you get into your 40s and 50s and 60s. You can continue doing it, taking chances and risks, whatever it is that is a passion for you, that you feel you want to do. You can do it.
Sometimes, Mike, you got to still remind yourself about that.
Oh my God, yeah.
Where you get down in the dumps and you're just like, well, time's going. Maybe I did all my cool stuff. No, you can find the time in those movies and Stallone's life. They show it. You know, it's never too late. You know,
it's crazy. Chris, you've got 30 seconds in an elevator with Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
What do you say to him?
I had 30 seconds outside of the Santa Barbara Film Festival as he got out of his limo. Hundreds of people desperately trying to get his autograph. How was I going to stand out and be the one guy that he pulled? I dived out, stuck out my pass from being an extra in Rocky Balboa, and I just said, Sly, I love you. I was an extra in Rocky Balboa. I didn't get any screen time, but I swear I was there. And he looked down and he saw that it was a real set pass. Yeah. And he literally goes like this. Thanks. Signs it, hands it to me. There's my 30 seconds.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Because I want to thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Pleasure. Anytime. I love what you guys do, and I'm a big supporter, and keep in touch. And, you know, Mike, we got you. Anytime you need something, you let us know.
Please thank John for me. I appreciate that. I think you guys are going to see a little bump in income and merchandise.
Rocky Files. Put the discount in. I promise we'll take care of it. Email us anytime and look for the new Rocky collection this November.
Oh, I can't wait for it. My friend, keep punching. Take care. Take care, my friend.
Love you guys. God bless. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Bye. Come on. Talk about energy.
Woo, yeah.
That guy brought the noise, brought the funk. Okay? Dun, 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 dun. Uptown Funk got the jam. I mean, he brought it. He really did. That's what the tour was like for 3.5 hours. It was it was like 50 caliber machine guns going off nonstop. You know, it was crazy.
Yes, that's what Rocky does. I mean, his energy is unmatched. He's just amazing. Talk about, you know, it's in his veins and in his bones, and he was wow. Just love the energy.
Yeah. I am so glad he made time out of his day to come with us. And how about that? Guys, don't not order.
Yeah.
This is 30%.
Very generous.
Very generous. Go to Contenders, put it in Rocky Files. You gotta order stuff. I'm gonna order. There's about 6 pieces I'm gonna order.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the Clubber Lang powder blue zip up. I have a lot already from Contenders, but I am going to order that. And I can think of there's about 5 other shirts that I want to get that I've been leaning on. So that's go order.
Now's the time. Wow. So
Exactly.
Thank you to them. What a fun announcement.
That's awesome.
So exciting. So
Good stuff.
that's my plug.
That's your plug. Well,
The
listen, Stacey,
Contenders.
I think, listen, that's it. We're out of here. People can find me, the Yo Philly Rocky Film Tour on Instagram. I wrote a book called what's it called? Cue the Rocky Music. There it is. I'm so shell-shocked from this interview. It's been great. So Cue the Rocky Music. You can find that anywhere books are sold. And there's a little movie about me called The Pretender by my dear friend, a guy I love, Jimmy Toscano, and his crew out of Detroit, Michigan. The Pretender, the dream is real. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. I promise you. Anywhere streaming services are, go check it out. Stacey, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at Had Me at Yo and The Rocky Files, and on Facebook at The Rocky Files Podcast.
This is a good one.
Wow, very good one. A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Stacey, until next week.
Until next week.
Keep
Keep punching.
Bye, buddy.